is Angela Williams with the South Bay Scooter Posse at Amerivespa 2017. You're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars, the podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail.
Hold on, Mark, what's going on with your voice?
Oh man, I am so sorry. But the fact is, I got to get this podcast out, and it can't wait for no bronchitis.
Boy, that's a hell of a commitment you're making.
It is. So welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. It's the podcast that my wife calls Booze and Booze.
And fitting.
Tonight, as always, we'll be featuring original music from Weeknights, a Seattle synth-pop band found on iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, and anywhere you find great music. My name's Mark Helgen, and I'm here with Mark Shelbert, my co-host, my color commentary.
And the good voice tonight.
Yes, you're going to have to fill in a lot. I think it's safe to say that we're both avid scooter riders, but I'm the one who has a persistent and nagging interest in ghosts and the paranormal.
And heavy on the nagging.
You know, I think I finally figured out where I fit into the realm. I'm certainly no expert, as I've said, but I think I might be a paranormal enthusiast.
That's a real nice way to put it.
I think so. I know just enough to pique my own interest, and I get scared real easy. And I've had some real significant paranormal experiences, and I know this shit is real.
Well, and some have done, you've done it without alcohol, which is the surprising part.
I'm going to take that out. So we just finished up PubScoot 17, the vintage ride. 4 days of mayhem, starting at Amerivespa with that really fun crew for the Thursday evening meet and greet. And if you remember, Mark, our goal was 40 bars in 4 days.
That's been our goal for a while.
We were tracking pretty good until...
well, we had a mishap.
You had a flat tire. What happened?
Got a piece of shrapnel in there.
Yeah.
Any good bad war story, it just ends with shrapnel.
We got help by some dual sport riders that came down the hill.
Yeah, we threw some slime in there, thanks to you and Bobby Chong, and then a couple stops for air, and we limped home.
That was day 4, though. Let's get back to day 1 in the meet and greet. We met people from all over the United States at the stables, and a bunch were familiar with our podcast. You know what it's called, right?
I've heard it, yeah. It's getting out there now.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. You can find it everywhere.
And we'll hear from a few of these guys tonight, right?
We want to thank everybody for listening that was there. And yeah, we're going to hear. We heard from Angela right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful voice.
We also met Jessica and Tanya Skinner. Jessica is an officer from the Vespa Club of America, and she's been very supportive of our little project here, and what a pleasure to meet both of them. They came a long way, all the way from Florida.
Right, and we just kind of bumped into them, didn't we? Or one of them.
Well, I bumped into Tanya.
Right.
And then she went and found Jessica for me because I had a T-shirt for her.
Oh, and she wore it proudly.
She did. It was so nice of her. And then there were the peeps from the South Bay Scooter Posse.
No, that's right.
You heard Aunt Angela is from there, and you heard her at the opening.
Big group.
We also met Brooke and Aaron, and Brooke is the one that found our podcast and shared it with the rest of the group. And you'll hear a little more from them later, too. Very little, but some. Plus Janae from the Napa Valley Scooter Club. And there were many others, and I'm sorry I can't remember them all, but thank you all for listening and your support of our podcast.
What a great night it was. There were a lot of new people.
I mentioned Brooke a minute ago, and he's the one that left the hilarious review on iTunes about the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine, if it were a Vespa. So please, if you've listened to our podcast and you haven't left a review, we need it bad. Leave it on iTunes, Google Play Music, or Libsyn, or iHeartRadio, or anywhere you listen. We just need the props. It helps us grow our business, our little... I can't call this a business.
Not until you make money.
Yeah. And also, please tell your scooter and ghostly friends about our podcast. Show them how to subscribe and how to download. You'd be surprised at how many people want to listen. They just don't want to admit they don't know how.
Well, and you've helped quite a few people, haven't you?
Well, yeah.
Most of your friends?
I grab their phone, I show them their podcast app, and then I subscribe them. That's where we've gotten most of our listeners.
But have you ever owned a bar? You sound like you own a bar.
I have owned a bar. I've owned a couple of them.
Good Lord.
But I don't at the moment, and it's a good thing, according to my wife. So, hey, did you meet Wandering Tyson?
I did, yeah. I met him briefly.
Well, here's a little bit from Wandering Tyson. He's setting records right at the moment.
This is Wandering Tyson, current record holder of the longest journey on a 50cc scooter, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Yeah, I was expecting an interview there, weren't you?
I really was, but I guess on season 2, we've got new things coming.
I want to surprise you.
You did. You got me.
You know, I think he's gone about 8,600 miles on that 50cc scooter to set the record, and he's still going.
Wow, that's a lot of ass time on a 50cc.
Amazeballs. Okay, so back a bit to day one. After we've all met in my garage, our clubhouse, we traveled to the remarkable Defiant Goldfish near Point Defiance Park in Tacoma. Yeah, so we met with Adam, the owner, who he opened early for us.
Right, well, you'd met him a couple weeks before on a day trip.
He put a sticker up.
Yeah, and you set it up, and you said what we're doing. And he said, yeah, I'd love to open early.
No, I had to actually email him through Facebook.
Right, but he said, yeah, I'd love to. You just need to remind me about 6 times.
Right, and I did. And
did,
he was open. He was waiting for us.
Right. It's like we had the bar to ourselves.
It was our pass through the area. And then we headed down to Point Defiance to the Vashon Ferry, where we headed to the hardware store in Vashon for our breakfast. We didn't stop anywhere, right?
No, we went straight to breakfast. Had to get something in our stomachs.
But you had lunch.
Well, I have a cheeseburger and fries regardless of the hour.
If they'll serve it.
And good diners will.
Okay, so we finished up there, and then we went balls to the wall all the way to the end of Vashon to catch the ferry. We didn't even stop. We drove right on.
No, well, we debated whether we should have one more cocktail because we wouldn't make the ferry, or should we go for it, and we decided to gun it.
Well, because we'd had our one cocktail within an hour.
Right, or 2, because it was a meal.
Right. So
But we didn't have to. We had like 10 minutes to get to the other end of the.
And it was 10 miles.
Yes.
But we made it.
Perfect time. I mean, just waltzed right on there.
Right onto the ferry boat, and headed over to West Seattle, where we were the first off. And we drove right up to Endelin Joe's.
Great stop.
It was, a really nice neighborhood bar. It looked like they had a little cheese shop or a pastry shop next door.
Cheese and cider.
Right.
Always at the heart of any local bar.
That's from Roach Harbor. That's Hawk.
Hawk, our boy Hawk.
A great back bar, beautiful place, brick old building, beautiful girl sitting at the bar who was very friendly, from the Midwest but moved out here. She was a Navy Coast Guard kid. She'd moved around. She worked at the Athenian Pike Place Market, and I think one of his name was Sarah, but I can't quite remember. We met a guy from Ireland.
Yeah, he bolted right in and ordered a Diet Coke and a sandwich.
Yeah, he was actually a pretty nice guy, but he's European. He probably just didn't know the rules.
Right.
We were talking to her first. So of course, she was about 23. Off we went, and we went up to Mac's Triangle Pub. And we had to kind of work our way up the hill in West Seattle, head south into White Center. And those are 2 words that scare a lot of people.
Especially on Vespas.
Yeah, White Center, in the past, used to be called Rat City. It used to be a scary place, but it is really going through a change, and it's a cool area.
Well, it's not completely out of the woods yet.
Yeah, but it's getting there.
It's much better than it was.
So we got to Mac's Triangle Tavern, which sits, on one of those roads that come in at 245 degrees or 30-degree angles.
Like on a triangle.
Yeah, but, it's not an isosceles.
No. Check your geometry. No.
You're a history teacher, not a math teacher.
No, I had to cheat my way through geometry.
Yes. Did Molly do it
Thanks,
for
Kevin
you?
Smith. No, it was another friend.
So we went in there, and we had a great time, and we met Allie and we met Amy, and they took really good care of us, and we're very intrigued with our Scooters, Ghosts, and Bars theme of our PubScoot.
Yeah, they were interested.
And then let us know that bar was haunted.
And then your grip got to work?
Yeah, you went and got the gear. We sat down, and we had a little conversation with Amy and Allie. And Allie used to own a bar across the street, so she had other information.
Right.
And so why don't we hear what they had to say before we meet the owner, Mac.
Right, because at this point, the Lizard and Greg went out to smoke a cigar.
They did, and then I think they headed their way down to Noble Barton, which is a new bar down the street.
Yes, it was a hot walk. Had to
for
find
them.
shade.
Yeah, yes. So anyway, and I put Allie and Amy's picture with me on Facebook.
Right,
So
yeah.
go to our page and you can see it. Maybe I put it on my personal page, which is Mark Helgen, or it's on the Chasing Ghost page.
Would you stay focused?
All right, here they are.
We hear Max is haunted.
It is. There's two ghosts. There's a lady ghost, and I'm not sure about the other ghost because I've not met the other ghost.
Oh, have you met the lady ghost?
Only heard stories.
Okay,
from the
let's
nighttime
hear a
bartenders.
story.
Mostly it's just stuff gets moved around if you leave things on the bar at night, like glasses or bottles or whatever. She will move them, and you come in the morning, you're like, oh, I didn't put that there.
Everything's all moved around.
Yeah.
And so, what about why that person's here? Do we know who it is?
I don't know that I know that story. I haven't heard that story. So this is an old trolley station. Back in the day, yeah. And this was the hub, the turnarounds, and these brick columns here were where the trolleys would come in. The turnaround was in the middle. My guess is that perhaps there was an injury or
An accident.
Yep. And that those individuals are still here with us. They're hanging out. They like people.
I mean, both of you lit right up and said, no, this place is
White
haunted.
Center's got some ghosts. We do. We've
then-
been here a day or two.
And then, Allie, you told me about the company bar also has some ghosts.
Right across the street. There's one, and I'm fairly certain she's a lady, and she has been scorned. And the story back at that location is that there was there was a church facility, but then there was also some underground work as far as hiding individuals back in the day.
How back in what day? I mean, way back?
Prohibition, I think. This is,
Prohibition.
yes.
So they were
This
having
is the-
drinks and
this is the term.
parties. And
There's, yes. And she liked to throw two specific things. Throw a scale. and that would happen during the busy hours of the evening. And during the middle of a crazy shift, it would come off of nowhere, off of the top of the countertop, and it would just hit the floor.
And that's happened to you.
Multiple times. Oh, yeah.
And it was secure where it was sitting?
Yep. No.
So why do we think that got thrown? Do we know?
Tension. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think she had some flair.
Nice.
She was a sassy one, I think. And then
How long has the company's bar been there?
that
Or
it has
how
been,
long has it been
well,
a bar?
it has been a bar for the last 6 going on 7 years.
Before that,
And then
what
previous
was
to
it?
that, there was actually a church in the facility.
Well, there you go.
Before that.
You're breaking the rules.
That's right.
Allie
That's
and
right.
Amy,
Yep.
thank you for sharing your
Absolutely.
stories
Thank
on
you, Mark.
chasing ghosts on scooters.
You guys have been a pleasure.
In
I'm
bars.
happy you guys came through.
All right.
Wow. So there are things going on in White Center, but they knew stuff, right? They knew it.
Right. No, it was
I think Allie
like
experienced some
they
stuff
did-
across the street.
definitely some vibes going on.
Yeah, but Mac lived it.
He's the owner,
of
right?
Yeah.
And you got him. He came in.
He came in and sat down, and he told us one of the first stories that happened to him there at this trolley station suspended between unincorporated King County, Seattle, and White Center.
We're sitting with Mac at Mac's Triangle Tavern in the heart of the blend between West Seattle and White Center.
No, we're right on the edge.
Yes, and we found you online. Great reviews. People love this place. And we came in on our scooters to just experience your bar and found out it was haunted. Met you, and you said, oh yeah, and you have a story.
I do have a story. I've been here for about 12 years, and just to make sure that everybody understands, we are White Center. We're also West Seattle, but just like Bremerton is Seattle, we're White Center. A couple of years into owning the bar, it was the end of a long work week, and that was back when I was actually bartending all the time. I closed up. It was about 3:30 in the morning. I was sitting back right about here, looking at the bar in front of me, as you can see, and it was quiet, it was dark, all the lights were off, just the street lights giving you some ambiance, and I caught this motion out of the side of my eye, down on the right at the end of the bar there, and what materialized was this dark shape. It looked like a woman. And she floated sort of across to the middle of the bar in front of the walk-in and stopped, paused for just a second, almost as to acknowledge that I was here in her domain, and then she just floated right off into the kitchen and disappeared. And it gave me goosebumps, but I didn't get any sense of that it was a malignant kind of thing. It was very definitely, I'm here, you're here, we're all here, and yeah, it was the coolest thing that I've done since I've been in the bar, and I always sort of feel like there's somebody watching out for me.
Nice. You said you're on the edge here. Do you think that had anything to do with being on the edge?
No, I think having the edge of Seattle being right there is why I'm on the edge, rather than the edge of being cool.
So you have a great bar, and if you're in the area, you should come down here because it fits on the division or the meeting of what, 2 streets? 16th and...
Actually 3 streets. So there's 16th that runs north-south. There's Delridge that sort of runs northwest to southeast. And then there's Roxbury. And Roxbury is the division between unincorporated King County, which is on the south side, and incorporated Seattle, which is the side that I'm on. We have one of the most culturally diverse communities in the country. We have over 187 different peoples that live here. Wow. And there are some gentrified businesses that have finally taken root here. We've got a new Starbucks and a new Popeyes, but we also have the new Drunky Two Shoes Barbecue. We've got Beer Star. We've got Noble Barton. We have a number of mom and pop startups that are flourishing here because it's not gentrified yet.
Thank you, Mac. What a great bar.
Thank you very much.
And we've had a blast here.
Well, I hope that you guys keep the rubber side down.
We will.
Enjoy Georgetown and come back and see me again.
We will. Thank you.
Looked like Mac had a date with a ghost.
Indeed he did. But Mac was a surprise because the bartender, we were expecting an interview.
Yeah.
But we had no idea Mac was going to show up, right?
She gave Mac a call and he came in.
Right, and just like that.
That or he owns a place. He can do that anytime he wants.
Yeah, but I think he came in on your request.
Well, I didn't ask for him. She just knew he had an experience.
Right, and so but that's pretty impressive that you wield that much power.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? He's got a nice bar and he's a nice guy. And if you're ever in that area, go to Mac's.
It is a great bar.
Triangle Bar.
This is Aaron from the South Bay Scooter Posse, and we're here at Amerivespa Seattle 2017, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
So that night, we worked our way down to Georgetown, and we stayed in Georgetown for our first night at the Georgetown Inn, which was a nice place. And we happened to do Jules Mays, which we've done a podcast on before, the Stables, where we did the meet and greet, Smarty Pants, I think, Fonda La Katrina for dinner.
Great food.
Really good. The Square Knot for breakfast. Back to the Stables before we went to breakfast. It was the night before. And God knows where else we ended up that night because we were on foot and not on scooters. So we got up in the morning and it was a little slow start.
Well, it always is, but...
it was day 2.
By the time the screwdriver or Bloody Mary steps in, it's ready to roll again.
Yeah, that's true. I believe there was something else. We left that morning from Georgetown after eating at the Square Knot and headed for Mount Rainier, and we weren't quite sure how we were going to get there.
One bar at a time.
Right. So we headed through Renton after going over the hill and ended up at a place that wasn't on our list. It was called the Whistle Stop.
Right, just a random...
Well, Bob seemed to know exactly where it was.
Bobby Chong has a way.
It's right near the Melrose, which is a great restaurant in
steakhouse or
Renton.
something, right?
Yeah, really good.
They don't serve a burger, though.
They don't. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't make me real happy when I go there.
Maybe we should write them a little note.
Well, how hard is it to throw a little beef on the fryer and just throw a cheese over it? You'd get me more often.
What was that?
Well, I'm just angry. I've gone to the Rose several times. I'm at a real quandary of what to order.
So what was cool about the Whistle Stop is it had an old Brunswick back bar from the mid-1800s. And here's what you got to know is Brunswick is the same company that builds boats right now. They build bowling alleys.
They have bowling pins and such?
Yeah, they own Life Fitness. And they got their start almost 180 years ago of building back bars. That's
craftsman.
In New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and they're on the New York Stock Exchange. They only have 2 letters. Everybody else is 3 for the most part.
NB?
BC.
Oh, because NB is New Balance.
Right.
But they're great bars.
They're beautiful back bars. We ran into 2 of them on our trip. Frosty's had one also.
That's right.
That was in Napavine. So anyway, we left the Whistle Stop. Great place, nice place, and then we headed south, and we went to
Southeast.
Yeah, okay. We headed toward the mountain.
That's east.
And we went by 3 or 4 bars that we planned to stop at, but we were on such a roll they weren't open yet.
Right. And that happens sometimes.
So we actually had a pretty good ride and made it down to Cumberland.
Not the Cumberland Gap.
No, that's somewhere in Tennessee, isn't it?
It's back east somewhere.
Arkansas? Kentucky?
I think it's further north than that.
Maybe somebody could write in and let us know.
Maybe it's Connecticut.
Cumberland Gap?
I think it's north.
How about Gary Puckett and the Union Gap?
Puckett.
They're from Union, Washington. So we ended up at the City Hall.
Which I'd never been to.
Nor had I. And what an
eclectic
crazy, cool establishment. We met the owner, Shawnee, and we spent the afternoon.
What an eclectic lady.
Yeah, she was a blast. Once again, we found a haunted bar.
Absolutely. Seek and ye shall find.
She had lots of stories for us, and in fact, why don't we just get started and get Shawnee going?
Jump in there. Let's hear from her.
Shawnee, tell us your story.
So we're sitting with Shawnee and all the crew from Chasing Ghosts at the City Hall Saloon and Eatery here in Cumberland, Washington, near Mount Rainier. No?
Yes.
Yes. And Shawnee tells me that the bar is haunted, that there's been University of Washington paranormal groups out here, a psychic, and more. So maybe you could just take a minute and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so they came in here at 2 o'clock in the morning when we were closed because they wanted all the lights out so the paranormals and the psychic could see orbs or whatever. They put a TV screen down below, and my bartender was here. I was out of town, so they can video everywhere. And where the most ghosts were upstairs in the apartment, and they showed orbs flying all over. The psychic said that we didn't have any bad ghosts here at all, that they were all good. There was a couple misbehaving that scared a few of the other ghosts, but there was no bad anything in this building.
Nothing evil, malevolent.
Right, nothing whatsoever. And and she knew so much. She asked about the lady with the cigarette extender, which was obviously the madam upstairs. In the 40s, there was a stabbing here. She knew about the stabbing. None of this is recorded. I mean, nobody knew this information. If you'd never been here before, you wouldn't have any idea, an inkling of what's gone on here.
Wow.
And she knew everything. She knew about the stabbing. She walked in my walk-in cooler, so there's been a lot of sex in here. She just knew a lot.
And did you turn red at that moment?
No. I'm not doing it in the walk-in cooler. It's too cold. But she just knew so much fact.
Wow.
That it was almost scary.
So did she, besides the madam that might be upstairs, any other idea who the other ghosts might have been? Big Mike, maybe?
It was a little unclear.
Yeah.
She was really bouncing around with what was going on. But she didn't really mention any names or specific, but she knew a lot about the activity that had gone on here for many years, and she was on it. She was right on it.
Wow, that's great. And we're sitting in the beer garden of the City Hall Saloon, and it is very eclectic. You have a lot of things you put here. I mean, small bikes, big bikes, tote goats, everything. I guess we welcomed us on scooters,
right?
But it was a little bit of an anomaly for you. You don't see that. You usually see Harleys here, right?
No. We have another group from Enumclaw that come out. They even come out on bike night and they pull right up to the fence.
Scooter riders?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, at one time, I've had to the fence a classic car, a Harley, a scooter, a quad, and a horse, all to the fence.
So you have to come to Cumberland and come to the City Hall, meet Shawnee, and have a beer.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Brooke Dane from the South Bay Scooter Posse. You're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
What a busy place. Sonny has great stories, but my real question is she impersonating you, or are you impersonating her with your voice tonight?
Well, I love that smoky voice she has.
It is nice and raspy.
She's a smart lady, you can tell.
She has got a lot of things going on there.
She took that place, like she said, from an awful place into a
troubled place.
Very, very popular biker bar where they have over 1,000 bikes, which means 1,000 dentists that are there, on any given night. Outdoor barbecues, lots going on. In fact,
cool building too.
In fact, they have other types of events there, don't they?
They've got midget wrestling coming once a year.
Whoa. Little people.
Mark, no, this one's midget wrestling. It's part of the title. Oh. They travel around the country as a sideshow.
Oh man! And so
some women have a midget fetish.
Let's not talk about that. Thank God my wife does. So there you go. Let's move on.
Bada boom.
That just made me uncomfortable. From the where were we in Cumberland and with Shawnee.
Right, but it had railroad history, it had Prohibition history, inside the building, old rustic looking building,
and
then you've got the outside, and she's still doing more, and she's bringing different gigs and acts in. She's a go-getter.
And not only that, but they had RVs parked outside where she has an RV
for the
park.
big events and things. Yeah,
no, there were people down there. They were parked with their RVs.
A couple, sure, but I'm saying when you've got these big venues coming in, the midget wrestling. She's got front row.
Stop saying that.
It's the show. Listen.
That's what they call it.
That's what it is.
All right.
Let's call it what it is.
Apparently, those little people do pretty good too.
And they're adventurous and crazy. I want to go.
Well, I hope she sends us a note the next time they show up in town.
Well, it's only once a year, she said.
I think I'm on their mailing list now.
Oh, good.
So we left there. She sent us to a bar in the town of Enumclaw.
Cedars. Well, first we stopped at Buckley.
No, Cedars was first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, her friend worked there.
And her name is Bitchy.
Call her Bitchy, not bitch.
No,
but Bitchy.
Yeah, Bitchy. And I think she lived up to it. She had a half smile, a little bit suspicious, and
well, that's probably normal. But that was not one of my favorite stops.
No, but they were open.
There's a different bar in Enumclaw we could have gone to probably.
Well, you know what? We can always ride out there on a day trip.
We're gonna have to.
Okay, from there we went to Buckley to the firehouse.
That was a great stop.
A perennial favorite.
And man, the pizza there. My goodness.
You love the pizza. I like the
hostess.
The bartender. She's I've been there a few times, and she's not only beautiful, but she's natural.
What do you mean by that?
Well, she always has that look like I was up till 4 a.m. last night, and I threw my jeans on and this little top, and here I am to serve you beer. And it's that attractive, earthy feel.
Unfortunately, she does not have a midget fetish.
No, nor even with me, she's never recognized me. And I've been there like 4 times. But good for her, and a refreshing stop.
It was a great stop, but then we were off again.
We hopped on our scooters, and we headed to
Kapowsin. Kapowsin Tavern.
Wow, some weird stuff happened there. So we rolled into the Kapowsin, which is another big Harley biker stop, right?
By and large, yes. And this, I must say, is right near where I grew up.
I know that. And
they all had a homey feel to it.
They watched us pull in our scooters, and they had a little chuckle when we walked in because there was a lot of leather inside.
Plenty of bikers, not a lot of scooters show up at the Kapowsin.
Right, and we walked in proudly.
We did.
And we had one guy say, "Hey, I saw somebody dragging his tennis shoes in the gravel." And we laughed it off and bought him a Sprite.
But after a few minutes, we were getting her settled in there, and everything was going great.
It was fine, yeah.
And then Ricky showed up.
Rick, yeah, and he was on a Harley.
But he passed us on going the opposite direction and came back from his errand, saw our scooters, and he just had to pull in. He really didn't want to stop at the tavern.
Not only that, but he read the stickers on our scooters about PubScoot, and he walked in and said, "Are you on PubScoot 17 right now.
Right, and he's a recovering alcoholic.
Right, and we did not, and he was a wild man. You could already tell.
You know what? He doesn't need alcohol to get him going.
Man, he wanted to join us. We explained the rules. You cannot ride a Harley on a scooter pub
Crawl.
Right.
Especially if you're chasing ghosts.
So off we left. We left there, and we headed south. And where did we go from there? We got a little lost.
We went to the Elbe.
Did we go
Well,
straight
we had to
to
cut
Elbe?
instead of going through Eatonville, we cut across.
Oh, we did a cutoff.
Kapowsin Highway there.
Yeah, it was
Mountain
great.
Highway.
All the twisties going down.
Good ride into Elbe.
And
where
we ended up
stopped
at the
railroad.
Elbe railroad car, right?
Right.
A family-owned, nice place.
Yep.
I believe we did. We were at our home base for the night. We did a shot of Jaeger. Remember that?
Well, we did, but we weren't quite home.
Well, we were just
We
a
were
few
pretty
miles
close,
away
right.
from
we
Ashford.
were close, yes. But we were having our beverage in the railroad car,
And we looked out the
and
window.
we got a honk.
And there was Rick.
Ricky on his Harley
Had waited.
in the
but
gravel parking lot.
he stalked us.
He did. He was out rolling around. I think he was checking on us to actually see if we stopped at bars.
As soon as we turned around and looked at him, what'd he do?
He shook his head and then peeled out.
and
And he
took
was
off.
gone.
We don't know what happened to him, but we thought we'd see him at the next.
Like a fart in the wind.
Yeah. So we were a little worried about him. We put our undergarments on that have are bullet proof. But from there, we went to the Elbe Tavern.
Now there's a connection at the Elbe Tavern also.
There is the cook there, Scott Laser, or Beam as he's called. Went to high school with the high school you teach at, the high school I went to,
You and Greg were.
and Bob and
Right.
Keith. In fact, everybody,
And Lonnie,
but
the lizard.
everybody but Ike went
Right.
to Fife.
Yeah.
And there he was cooking, and Greg had a good visit with him
Greg stayed in the kitchen for about 45 minutes.
and talked to him. Well, I
Conversing.
talked to the bartender.
Yeah.
And found out the Elbe Tavern's haunted.
Right.
What are the chances? I
Who
would
would've
say
known?
50-50 because we found out at least half of the taverns are haunted.
That is true.
Now, the Elbe Tavern was built in 1904, from what we understand. Used to be a home. Lots of sounds, kids laughing, things going on. And in fact, let's listen to the stories of the Elbe.
Well, hold on. I've got two things
We're gonna
before we
back
get
up.
into ghosts. Something real.
Okay, go.
One thing that was real, when we pulled in there, we got bitched at by an old lady.
She wasn't that old. She was younger than you.
Well, but she looked pretty haggard. She was bitching at us, for we did not know why, but we found out Keith went and smoothed the waters and found out we took the shady parking spot that she wanted to park her dogs in.
Her dog, her feet?
No, her. They smelled like it, but no, she had dogs in the truck or something and wanted to park in the shade. And apparently we took her spot, but she was bitching for some odd reason.
Well, she's a local. It's her bar, and here we
It's not
roll
her
in.
parking spot,
We
though.
roll in these fancy Italian scooters.
Well, that's a touch above.
Yes.
But the other part is that Scott Laser, his father used to trim our or prune our fruit trees when I was a kid back in the 70s.
That's another connection.
A Swiss connection.
It's amazing. And he was also a professional football player, was he not?
No. Oh, the dad, Andy?
Yeah.
Well, he played for Wazoo. I think he may or may not have gotten a tryout or a short stint.
No, he did. He did.
He became a pruner in his after hours.
Well, he's probably been living off his NFL retirement fund, but he had to do something. Anyway,
He was a good man.
Yeah, pretty cool, and pretty fun stop. But can we
So
now
go ahead to
All
your
right.
ghost story.
I think
whatever
it's
the hell it is.
Serena. I hope it is because I can't edit this long interview that you and I have just had. Let's hear her story.
I'm with Selena at the Elbe Tavern, and she tells me it's haunted.
Okay, so I've been working here a little over 3 years, and I stay late often. And late at night, the music will come on by itself and play whatever it wants. Doors will open and shut, and you'll hear footsteps. Sometimes you'll hear giggling like small children. I heard this place was built in 1904, and it used to be a family home, and I heard that it was, the people used to live above the bar and behind the bar, and then the bar was the front portion. And so a lot of activity happens towards the back, towards the kitchen area. And you'll hear like someone's on stairs, but there's no stairs anymore. There used to be before they remodeled it. So it's just kind of interesting. This place has a life of its own, definitely.
Do you know who that might be, who those people are?
I don't. I've never researched the history of this town or who owned it before.
But you hear it. It's real.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so, have you talked to anybody that works
some
there?
people were really scared of it. I mean, some past employees have been really nervous about it, but it really doesn't bother me.
Doesn't sound evil at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, and I don't even think it's like an aware sound. I think it's just stuff that goes on whether people are there or not.
Yeah.
Whether you're there to hear it or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah, residual.
So, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Just kind of echoes of a past life, I think.
So if you come to Elbe, come to the Elbe Tavern and see Selena, because she's hot and
thank you.
Very smart. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Bagel, and you are listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. But you should also listen to Cleveland Moto Podcast and the Motorcycles and Misfits podcast from the Recycle Garage in Santa Cruz, California. So have a awesome rally, everybody.
So Serena, great story. Are you sure it was Serena, though?
Now that I think about it, I think it was Selena.
Oh, yes, it was. You're right.
Yeah.
It was Selena.
Selena. And she I think she has a pretty good attitude about that place.
Yeah, she seems pretty content there, and she does a great job.
And it doesn't scare her like it scares other employees that have been there.
Well, she's probably a non-believer.
Yeah, but we got our butts out of there.
Yeah, but not before we got our picture in front of the locomotive.
Yeah, and that's also posted on our Facebook
Is it?
page.
You got a picture there?
At Chasing Ghost Pod on Facebook. Okay. You can see it.
There you go again.
I know.
Self-promotion.
I know. We have to.
Did you get the steeple too, the little church?
I believe I did, yeah.
That was a cool. I wish we could have gone in there. I think God would have talked to you there. You could use a little God talk.
I need a slap down here.
You need to be touched by God.
So we were heading now to Ashford, which is only 7 or 8 miles up the road.
Short little trip, yep.
But we stayed at the Gateway Inn, which is a series of log cabins and a lodge.
Like a resort.
Right at the entrance to the Mount Rainier National Park.
Yeah. And I don't know why we didn't even cross that barrier.
Well,
I'm a little disappointed.
I saw Mike take a picture of the log opening to Mount Rainier National Park because it was right outside our rooms.
It literally was. That was the gateway.
Not only that, but for dinner, we went to the Wild Berry, which is a Nepalese restaurant of people that are climbers, from, I don't know, is it Mount Everest?
I believe you took the observation that everybody there was wearing a North Face jacket.
North Face or Patagonia or something. They all looked really good and very comfortable. They had their own little propane stoves going out there. They were boiling their own water.
And the wool socks.
Yes. I went with the stew, the Nepalese stew, shepherd stew. It was pretty good.
But unfortunately, Keith made the mistake of going authentic.
He did.
He dove in the deep end.
He had the spicy Nepalese food.
It messed him up.
Yeah, he hurt for the next couple of days. Yeah. And then I believe he spewed at one point.
We'll get to that on our next episode.
We will. So we spent the night we set up at the Gateway. We had dinner at the Wild Berry. We headed down to a local haunt called the Highlander. Remember that?
Yeah.
Where we met the manager of the Copper Creek Cafe, or one of the managers.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And she invited us for breakfast.
Said it was a great place, and it was.
And we got up early the next morning after sleeping in our log cabins, and she wasn't there.
Yeah, I think she pulled the bait and switch on us.
Yeah, they said, she comes in a little later.
Yeah.
So we had a good breakfast, except for Keith. He couldn't eat.
No, he didn't eat at all.
That was Nepalese food.
And it was nice to see his older brother, Greg, care and nurture or have some fruit. Try some fruit, Keith.
Right. And he ate a piece of what? A grape?
He had one grapefruit.
I believe Keith texted me and said maybe ice and a little white rice. So
yeah, he was down for the count. He was not, but he tried rally. He did rally.
So day 3, we were going to head south, and that'll be our next podcast.
Southwest.
In the meantime, we're going to listen to a little music from weeknights, a little new music maybe.
So we've got a couple of days left on this trip that we're going to get to on a second episode?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
And more haunted bars, more bar stories, more scooter stuff. And thank you so much for listening to my voice if you've made it this far.
Hang in there. It'll get better.
I promise on our next go-around. In the meantime, here's weeknights or Mount St. Helens, depending what do I pick before this thing gets going.
podcast, and all original music by Weeknights and Mount St. Helgens is copyright by Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Put a ribbon on it.